can't vote, but she still make comments.
Thank you, Dorothy. You're welcome.
That's right.
Yes. I think she must be on that wrong link. Is she on the one with the 1552? Hold on. Let me give her a call. 1552? Yes, 1552.
Yeah. My kid was caught 1,100 flushes in the
hotel, telling Robert off their crew management software. So they don't know where the crews are, they've been pilots show up in segments, not able to see on the map. That's not fine.
Yeah. So I'm having a meeting like that ends in I started you about 40 minutes ago.
Alec was caught in Salt Lake City Thursday.
Meeting that ended in 1552.
All the Delta probes were on the stop.
Yes. Yeah.
The same software that is about Southwest in December now. Seems to we're like, we're not even plugged into the World Wide Web.
We're probably starting that
That's good.
range.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order our July 23rd, 2024 Town of Windermere budget sessions moving order. It's 6:03 p.m. Please join me for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The record reflect that we have Councilperson Galley, David, and Williams in attendance. With two absences, Councilperson Haynes, who may join us soon, and Councilperson Scoop. Do we have any open forum public comment? Tom, you wish to say anything?
Nice to be here.
Thank you. With that, I will first of all give our sincere appreciation to all those who work on this formidable budget package and working to make sure we have everything we need. Go over to Tommy Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. I do want to thank again Teresa and Dara, see back there from our finance department. Many of course go around as the budget liaisons, and also the various directors that we've had in the town of Windermere from helping me out trying to get this budget to you as quickly as possible, but as accurate as possible. So again, tonight we're going to be talking about the 2024-2025 budget. Again, our fiscal year goes from October 1st to September 30th. As our mission is always, when we come to the purpose and intent of the budget, is to preserve the level and quality of life that the town residents and customers are accustomed. All while maintaining the town's financial viability. How do we get there? We have conservative estimates of revenue, control spending, better planning, state and federal appropriations, and we also look at federal grants. So you can see how our ad valorem rate has changed over the last, let's say, close to 20 years. In 08-09 was at 3.228. It went up to 3.7896 until 2015-2016, went down to 3.25. And then we increased it in 2018, 2019, we held that rate in 2018, 2019. The town council at that time committed to creating pockets of money for various infrastructure projects, the water projects, multimodal projects, parks and recreation, and also committing about $400,000 towards our road projects. What we're here tonight to do is maintain that level of 3.7425. So you see our annual revenue has gone up since 2018. That's because property values showing up, Wisconsin as well, some of the other homes that have been restructured and rebuilt, and also the Ross Reserve project. Here's a little comparison. These numbers are a little outdated. The reason for that is because the Orange County Fire MSU has gone from 2.2 to 2.8. I know tonight Oakland's going to be looking at increasing their alarm rate. That's going to be a double whammy for them because not only are they increasing their alarm rate, but they also have Orange County Fire Service. So they're going to be looking at a significant increase in their tax assessments. So the taxable value for the Sun of Windermere in 2024-2025, we finally went over $1 billion. That's insane compared to only 2.2 square miles. And we've seen a little bit of development, but not much development. But we've seen a significant increase over the last 5 years. Last year's comparison was $953,000. So we've seen an increase of about $76 million. And I do believe once the 500 block is developed, we're going to see that increase. For the millage rates, in order to maintain the current millage rate, we would ask for 3.742. The lowest, which is the rollback rate, which means that you would generate the exact same amount of ad valorem money that you received last fiscal year, you would have to approve a rollback rate of 3.491. And the maximum millage rate that you can approve would be the 3.7425. So if you maintain that 3.7425, and again, when you look at maintaining the existing versus the maximum, typically the maintaining the same that you have right now is not as much as the maximum, but whatever you do, if you don't adopt the rollback rate, it's considered a tax. But when people see it, they see that the millage rate is not. So it's just a matter of explaining to them it's not technically tax increase, it's maintaining that same tax rate. But if the town council does adopt 3.7 mils tonight, you can't go higher than that. You can go lower, but you can go higher when we use the budget hearing system. You can see how we plan for 0.855, and then you always multiply that by 95%, and it's going to be about $3,662,906. So for the estimates of revenue, we always look at the various factors that may impact the numbers and the different sources for the town of Windermere. As we always do, we've been very conservative with the estimates. Staff typically uses the past and big future when appropriate. We've used the last 12 years of numbers and estimating needs and escalators while taking out the anomalies. You know, some finance departments in some cities, they always just do a CPI or something like that. But that doesn't account for what's actually happening in the world. Gas prices, or the cars are getting more fuel efficient, so your gas tax is lower. Communication tax, we did see it go a little bit lower, but now it's moving through the roof, and that's because everybody's bundling and utilizing all the streaming services. The Department of Revenue, they never come out with their estimates until pretty much when you're doing reviews. But we've pretty much stayed at or around what they predicted. But again, they're doing everything statewide, so they don't look at the escalators that we've had over the last 12 years. So as you can see, local option gas tax, it was in 2020, it was hitting its peak. And again, you see it kind of decrease a little bit, and it's actually been for a decrease from last year's budget. Utility tax, that's going up, with the rates going up, usage going up, and the increase in the amount of homes that we have in this country. Same with the utility tax and water. Like a property gas, we're kind of seeing a dip in that, but I do think that's going to increase as we get more lines throughout. And here's communication service tax. As you can see, we saw that little dip. And that's one tax revenue that the state has always been going after was the communication service taxes. They've been unsuccessful thus far, which is great, because that was the tax that was associated with the bond that we had for the 2004 roundabout. Building permits, with the Estancia, with the other developments, we did see an increase. Cost of our building permit fees, PDCS had 80% of that revenue, and then we collected 20%. Franchise fee for Duke, which is basically they use your right of ways. It's an open compete, it's not a Windermere. We've seen that pretty much stabilize since last year. House and sales tax, we're pretty much predicting what we're going to receive this year. And again, that's going to be conservative because we don't want to get too high with the house and sales tax. So we're trying to maintain that level over at $600,000. And here shows your breakdowns, fiscal year 2022-2023, all the way until now. And the difference would be between 23, 24, and 24, 25. So you can see a increase in revenues from having one. We've seen an increase in the communication service tax. The decrease in building permits, again, that's because we're seeing that changeover from a lot of the development that's occurred over the last 3 or 4 years. But remember that whatever that expense is in development services, that's going to be offset with that 80%. The fire assessment, we've seen an increase. Again, anything that's over what we owe is going to go into fire reserves. So that makes sure that we can keep the millage rate stabilized for at least some time and cover the costs. Same thing would happen if we were annexing Shangri-La. We'd be able to go ahead and stabilize that, use those funds to pay that stock gap until we actually hit the tax rates. And also, I've been waiting for Philly City Manager to get back to me on whether or not we're still going to have to fund that tanker truck. Revenue sharing, again, is increased by $30,000. Windermere 1 and 9, it did increase it because that's at around what we received last year. You'll see the offset in the expenditures over legislative. One thing I did get a question about was why was there such a dip in the auction surplus? And that's because we sold the dump truck. We planned for that in 2024, 2025. Credit wages agreements, we've seen a lot of increase in that as far as the payments and the uses of those. Typically, is going to be fire companies, utility companies coming through and for us to pay for the services that we provide as far as making sure our engineers are taking a look at it, our planners are taking a look at it, staff taking a look at it. We've seen a significant increase in that. ABC licenses, that'll probably be increased once Solera. We have the name of the actual wine stores. Solvino. Yeah, we may see that increase, but it'll be a slight increase. And the stormwater transfers, that's going to be less than we anticipated from last fiscal year. For Centennial revenue, since we're going to be having so many events next year, they are going to be generating some revenue with sales of different items, and that'll go to offset the Centennial costs. And it's just that wine and dine reserves will go towards the Centennial costs, and also the balance between what we propose in the budget as far as $350,000 for the restrooms. Then they would kick in the additional money to cover the cost of those additional restrooms over here in Town Hall. So the total revenues they're going to have is $60,398,838.18, and that's an increase of $468,730.66. So the estimated revenues, the ARPA funds, they need to be committed by 2026. We believe we're going to be doing that with the potable water projects and stormwater projects. We still are waiting on the federal appropriations. We're hoping we get those in November from the Safe Routes to School program. That was $760,000. Building services, as I said, is 80-20 split. With the rent for Town Hall, in the pavilions, especially for the Town Hall, it may fluctuate depending upon how many events we have because of all the centennial celebrations. But it is such a small impact to the overall budget, especially when you're in the $16 million budget. You're talking maybe $15,000 to $20,000. General revenues and smaller revenues, again, they're going to be mostly used for HMG grants local match. The grants, they currently don't, we don't have really any plans in the actual budget for the poetry release by the community, Healthy West Warren, and State Federal this year. Again, we had 2 projects that were vetoed by the state, and we still need to go back to Healthy West Orange once they have a project that may be suitable to them for possible funding. And when it comes to the multimodal contributions, it's taken 5 years to get to this point. There's still nothing moving the needle as far as any allocation of funds to any of these municipalities. And one section that we may be looking at is connecting our sidewalks up to a code, because that would need a lot of other points to make sure that there's that connection that goes all the way to the Western Trail. And again, the state appropriations that we've got over the last 3 years, $1 million towards phase 1 of the water trails, and totally 1.76, the 365,000 for the wastewater study, which is still ongoing right now. I'm planning for that expenditure to be fully funded by October 1. And the 3.08, $1 million towards the central water phase, and then 1.5 towards the Windermere Road and Main Street intersection.
Hey, Robert, before you get this on real quick, the St. Brownsville School Program funds, do we have those in our pocket, or are we
still waiting? It's issued by the DOT. They're so busy, and they're so.
Yeah, the reason I asked you is we get a lot of questions about this.
Yeah,
that's like every place I go. So I'm going to make sure that I'm informing you correctly. And the appropriation also for the phase 1 of the water trail, is that in-house, or are we still discussing?
Still issued by the DOT. We're anticipating getting that money in November.
So do you think November will have it, and we need to?
November will have it. There's no more excuses from District 5, but we had all the contracts, all the agreements, we had all the classifications, and it's been in their court for quite some time.
I know, and it's difficult to have that. I'm sure it's
some highlights for the expenditure for 2025. The fire service agreement is to be increased by $80,000 in both the fire and EMS. The $108,000 is the last payment for that 2004 roundabout. So again, used to be $234,000 each and every fiscal year since 2004. So we'll realize that in savings next fiscal year 25-26. Total water projects, Central Bays, World Trail, phase 1 pedestrian bridge, and we're hoping to get that thing kicked off hopefully late winter or this spring. $100,000 for sidewalk repairs. That was another 2018-2019 commitment. West 2nd Avenue, local water, road, and stormwater improvements. Bessie and Butler Basin, stormwater improvements. The wastewater study, Windermere Road and Main Street intersection improvements. We did put $100,000 for next fiscal year for the centennial celebration. Does seem like a lot, but those celebrations do cost a lot of money, especially when looking at, it's 100 years, so you want to make sure you do it right. Because it might be 100 years before we actually create these. So we're going to put that to be supplemented with sponsorships, the centennial revenues, and I think Windermere Wine knows the noting additional to that. And with the capital enhancements, it does include the town hall restrooms of $350,000. I know the cost last night was a little over $400,000. But remember, Windermere running down and has it in reserves, and I plan for about $390,000 to $400,000 for that expenditure. And when it comes to the expenditure, when we get it to Public Works, I plan for 75% of the total overall expenditures for those projects, because they're 18-month to 20-month projects. So we see the majority of it for next fiscal year, and then 25% for this fiscal year, and then 25% in 25-26. So legislative department, special events, again, that increased because of the 150 for centennial celebration. And laptops, we're getting laptops for all the council members, so you don't have to worry about utilizing your personal one. Unless you want to use it personally. Here it is. Oh, is it?
Yes, this is from COVID.
Oh, the iPad one?
Really?
Yeah. Well, you might need an upgrade.
Did it twice in 4 weeks.
Well, I think Microsoft thinking of that, this may want to definitely get an upgrade.
there'll be maps on
And
it.
then you could-
So.
And then the one thing I did want to point out too is the fact that I am including the disclosure of lobbyists. For a state and federal lobbyist, right now I have here for $36,000. Like contacted some other municipalities. It's based on a monthly payment that they each pay. I do think that if we have a project that is really ripe to go to Tallahassee or to DC to get that money, that could go to maybe $60,000. But again, $60 million budget, that's not a huge. We'll probably go out for RFP, probably in the next 2 months. So again, this is centennial celebration, planning events, the state lobbyists, the laptops, Windermere Wine and Dine, and also increase the budget for Armed Forces Appreciation Day. So administration, again, salaries, overtime, FICA, net retirement, health insurance, staff, vision, dental, AD&D, that's all, with salary related and fringe benefits. Professional services, we did include 5,000 given salary study. However, what we need to do salary study right now. So we may be able to save that $5,000 like we back in the day. We're pretty much municipalities of similar size, so we'll be the point of us actually having a base wage separate when they're going to be doing for us. The legal fees that did increase by $125,000 with the ongoing boathouse litigation. At the August town council meeting, we will have Nick and Summer here from Great Robinson to provide you an update of what's going on all the way up to this point, any mediation discussions, and any legal strategies that are currently ongoing. It is not going to be a shady. It's going to be an open meeting. So the public can actually hear exactly what the town has, why they proceeded to go forward with the boathouse litigation, and nothing that's going to be disclosed is on the town because everything's already been disclosed. So it's a good time for the residents to actually hear from our side as opposed to from the defendant's side. Communication services, I did increase that, and I'll probably see why. A lot of our hardware is getting old, so we had to start our replacement budget for a lot of the systems that we have. They did recommend about $75,000 for this fiscal year. I'd say this fiscal year, 2025. I reduced that a little bit because when I talked to Chief, a lot of the books for the laptops and the tough books,
Tough books, yeah.
tough books, they still have another year of longevity. And we can probably progress that into 25, 26. So we'll replace as needed throughout this year. Increase the newsletter mail out again because we're getting more pages, more articles, and the prices are keep going down. So the total for the administration budget is an increase of $187,511, and most of that is to the increase in communication services and the for health insurance. Probably 5-6 years ago, we had a conversation with the town council on trying to make sure that we have a competitive healthcare benefit for the employees. Currently, we do employee only. There's a buyout plan for those that want to cover their spouse or family members. And the cap on that was $10,000 annually. And we're able to do that in the negotiations that we've had with various providers. And we're able to keep our existing healthcare benefits that we've had for the last maybe 4 years. Is that right? Yeah. So consistency is always key. So people aren't having to change their providers. We do provide that gap insurance. Dental insurance, that's slightly that's only $352 annually. Vision is $67. Accidental death and dismemberment, that's $90. Gap insurance, that's $398. I talked to Oakland regarding the COVID to get what kind of a COLA increase they have been giving or proposing to give the employees. And the majority of them were between 4 and 5%. So my recommendation is to increase that by 5%. Not only is because the cost of living going up, but we want to make sure that we're retaining everybody. Because if you lose at least one of our staff members, we lose all that training, that experience, and that knowledge. And it's going to cost us a lot more money to advertise. And then when somebody else comes in, they're going to want to see the salary. But and again, we did $50,000 for the computer upgrades. And then we're looking at maybe changing our website. our social media, not our social media, but the app. I know Chief and Brianna are working on new software hopefully by the end of this week. I know a lot of people have been getting alerts, and with the website, with Chatterbuzz, we might be going to Municipal CMS or somebody else that really specializes in all the different websites for towns, local governments. Again, increase it to the pending. Clerk's office, nothing really of significance here. We did increase the amount of money for advertising. The elections, we kept that at 3,000. Should we do the ballot election for the residents of Shangri-La? That will just be, again, a small increase. And I didn't know if that was going to be done this fiscal year or next fiscal year, which would be October 1st. So the total increase for the clerk's budget was about $10,500. Finance. The significant increase that we saw was in general insurance. As you know, we've been through a lot of litigation over the last year. Anytime somebody trips, falls, gets rented, or has anything happen in the town of Windermere, then file claims. And so we made sure that we try to keep claims down, but it's a litigation society, so we've seen the general insurance go up. That also includes the workers' comp. Tuition reimbursement, we did increase that to $7,000, $4,000 that we're usually spending each and every fiscal year. And that's the reason for that is over the last 5 years since we started doing this program, last year we saw a significant increase in people utilizing it. So what we do is we do tuition reimbursement lead up to $1,000, and they have to maintain a certain GPA. But again, with tuition going up, it was very limited to first come, first served. Now it's giving the people the opportunity to go ahead and vote. And so the company's taking advantage of that. WG Bond's taking advantage of that. You guys go to people program. And it's all ways to see the increase, but it's all offset by the revenues that we're getting. So you see here, general insurance increase by 15%. Wellness services, it's wage trend in PCS. This did increase significantly. There's reasons why. We are for our evaluation and appraisal report that's coming up, where you have to make sure that you've updated your comp plan and make sure that it's meeting all statutory guidelines. So that's going to be an additional cost. We did allocate some money for the cost of annexation of Shangri-La. And then for professional services versus the admin services, the admin services is basically the day-to-day stuff that Brad and Wage trying to do. And a lot of the planning and zoning stuff, that's what a lot of the development pays. Now that we finally increased that cost, we see a lot more money coming in to offset that expenditure. But if we were to have our own planning and zoning department, it would probably cost significantly more than $130,000. Public Works. Now, one of the things that we're talking about Public Works because Parks and Recreation came up with a strategic plan this week, and we took a look at it, and talking to Tanya, there's definitely going to be a need to have somebody that is just dedicated to Parks and Recreation. Because right now, for guys that being pulled away, so fix tennis nets, to fix locks, all sorts of stuff. But we're looking at the possibility of just hiring somebody that's dedicated to Parks and Recreation, not only to look at the parks, maintain the parks, but also the programs too. So we have tennis games, when we're looking at the possibility of working with somebody to do dance classes, Pilates, CrossFit. Right now, people are utilizing our facilities at no cost to us, or at no cost to them. Once we have a plan in place, we'll be able to utilize this person and through an RFP process, find somebody to offer those classes for us that we can advertise and start making some more revenue for Parks and Recreation. One thing to do too, that I want to make sure that you or whatever the public works, is that we've seen a significant increase in the amount of times that we utilize Mike Laura, John Stephen, and King Moore Associates. Whenever there's an issue, especially with the rains we've had come in, what we've learned from the past is not to have staff that doesn't have an engineering degree, engineers to come back and bite you. So typically when these things happen, I send out John, King Moore Associates, Mike Ward, to make sure they take a look at it. They come up with a plan or design, and then we go and fix it. So that way we have an actual documentation of how it's going to be corrected, how we're going to improve that. And also we really utilize them a lot over the last 2 fiscal years. And they've been a little bit over, especially, if it's not a project specific IPO and some council wants to look at Rose property or something that's on Oakdale Street. That stuff adds up. So that's going to be divided up between all. And that does include the increase in lakefront maintenance, lawn maintenance, and investment. We did increase the money for the shelves in as well. We added a storage line item. The reason why we didn't have it before, there's mostly just operating supplies, but now that we have storage, so we're not storing it here, we're not storing it over at Tim and B or W. It just frees up that space for stuff that's not going to be needed but only once a year. Again, the last meeting of the debt services 108 is in October. The public works capital improvements or the actual parks and rec capital improvements is $25,000. I know that they're looking at additional monies to do some capital improvements this next fiscal year, but we do have money that's still in the town parks and recreation capital improvement reserves to offset the cost of the project they do. And then we did allocate a new truck for public works. So the projects. This was the big amount of money that you saw in the capital improvements. So for West Second Avenue, the town's share significantly increased from when we originally anticipated. So we're looking at our share being 1.171 million. Now we're going to be getting the federal dollars, which is going to be around $4 million. So again, we're at 25% threshold for some of these projects. That one I have 100% funded for next fiscal year, even though I don't believe it's going to be finished next fiscal year, but if we don't, then that one will roll over to 25 or yes, 25, 26. The same thing with the Central Park phase. The Bessie and Butler expenditures, that's about 75% of what the town share is going to be, and everything else will go over in 25, 26. Same thing for Windermere Road and Main Street improvements. I think that's going to be an over $2 million project. Town Hall, now that fully funded for this fiscal year, the wastewater study this fiscal year. The Ward Trail phase 1, as you have again, 75% of the expenditures to be anticipated this next fiscal year. And then 10th Avenue Main Street improvements, that's Rose property, 100% would be 418, 765. What was the cost of reserve? 86,000?
86,000.
$86,000. It didn't include that in the budget. For some reason, they included that report. Police department, again, when it comes to the salaries and whatnot, it's pretty much standard, 5% increase. Fire rescue service fee, again, that increased by $50,000. Operating supplies, and that increased a little bit by $10,500. Capital improvement equipment, the radios, we're looking at a significant increase for $22,500, and also we have to buy additional accent cameras and tasers. So the total financial impact is going to be $104,544. We are looking at the purchase of new vehicles, I say, and it seems like every council meeting we're approving a police department vehicle. But understand too that there's typically industry standards about a 5-year lifespan of these cars. They utilize them a lot more than we do because they're old, they go through town, and they're potentially driving around doing a lot of wear and tear. And I know that Chief's car, we got that when we first started here back in 2013, I believe. So The exact same for a car, we say it can last 1 more year without a new car. We'll see what we can do for them once the mid-year report comes out. But again, once we purchase the cars, then we go ahead and put together some option block, or we use them to trade them in. We retain the accreditation manager and the fire service fee increase. One of our dispatch fee that increased by 5%. With 365 Cloud software. This is something that Coe, Windermere, Oakland, Apopka, and the town of Windermere have been involved with in the last 3 years. It's a new software system, big writing software system that Windermere wants to spearhead, and there's been a lot of frustration. You can pretty much brief on this at the next town council meeting, but there's still not a final project. And the reason for that, one of the reasons for that is in regard has provided the information actually needed to create a system. So there's a lot of animosity between the chiefs of police, where, especially the code, they spent $40,000 to use a bar on this project and still haven't been shown.
Developing your own software is a heavy lift. I mean, you can do it, but it always costs 10 times.
Yes, sir. It's actually to the point that we're looking at litigation against 365 Labs for their non-performance, but then it was found out that Windermere has provided them with the information to back up and actually create the algorithm for this system itself. And the reason that Windermere is the driver of this is because Windermere is the dispatch for a code Oakland and its own. Code enforcement. This is going to change this next fiscal year. The reason for that is Cody is pulling their code enforcement officer. The town of Oakland, I spoke to them today. They're currently utilizing one of their officers, one of their reserve officers. So I talked to Chief today, and they'll probably do the same thing that they're doing, and hiring a part-time law enforcement official, code enforcement official that will come in and work for the town of Windermere for the police department and do code enforcement. I'll make sure we're more proactive than what's been going on the last 6 months. They've been a code enforcement hearing over the last year and a half, which is a good thing, because code enforcement comes to mind just to make sure that people are coming up to the code that's already been established. But we will see this change probably in the next, I would say 6 to 8 weeks. We have going until September 3rd, until they pull that service. Boards and committees is pretty much stayed constant. For Parks and Recreation, they have seen an increase in their runs and whatnot, but the revenues outweigh the expenditures, and that's for every board committee. We are looking at reestablishing the waste committee for this next fiscal year. Tree board, we did plan for $30,000 in 23-24. They only generated about $15,000 in 24-25, or in 23-24. So we reduced that to $15,000 to make sure that whatever they spend, you know, they have revenues over expenditures, then that goes into their restricted reserve. If it doesn't, then they have to give it to the non-reserve. So we have all these restricted funds that has, you know, for tree board, for Parks and Recreation, and for school preservation. So HPP gets the money for food trucks, tree board for farmers market, then Parks and Recreation from the runs, the Halloween event, and also from Pet Fest. So they're not going to be doing Pet Fest next fiscal year. I believe Liz Anderson is spearheading the waste committee.
That's still, is it waves or waste?
Waste. Windermere Active Youth.
What is it called?
Windermere Active Youth.
Oh, okay.
Stormwater, pretty much stayed constant. The only thing that really changed again, professional services and the utilization of Michael Laura, Windermere Associates, John Steven, and also the flat end to make sure that our storm drains are clear. Rents and leasing did go down. The reason for that is to pay off vehicles. The stormwater project costs that I have allocated here is about $100,000. Is going to go to the HMGP grant or HMGP projects. You saw the revenues. And again, this year we're coming up, I think, on year 5 for NPDES compliance. Again, the sweeping back and install maintenance we've seen an increase as well. So overall, for our revenues over expenditures, for the General revenue fund, we saw again 16.398. For our stormwater revenues, it's 363,619. And you can see from that 363,619, that doesn't really cover much for projects. And that's why we go with those HMGP grants and also for federal and state appropriations. So the total revenue is going to be 16,762. ECD expenditures with the 16,276 and stormwater expenditures mirror the revenues. So the total expenditures will be 16,645.52. But that gives us a reserve allocation of $121,094. Now, if you do the 121, that's kind of off, but you're looking at the difference of about $200,000 from what's there from last year to this year. So that was my mistake in math right there, because we were $80,000 in total borrowing that from reserves. This year we're going to be 121 positive. So with the HMGP ARPA, multi-middle path projects, home university 425, and we reflected 25% in the 25-26 budget for the 24-25 budget, and the balance will be in the 25-26 budget. The current reserves after this fiscal year should be at around 1.5 million, and hopefully we can project that 121,904 for the next fiscal year. Again, the industry strength standard is 20 to 25%. If you go anything over that, then you start reducing your millage rate, or you don't get the money back, but reducing it significantly to make sure that you're not over allocating that reserve. Again, due to the charter restriction on loans to debt services, we're required to save money as opposed to having an actual 5-year CIP that's funded, because we have that restriction as far as getting loan over in that cap that group.
What we may do, Robert, is if we need to still have a division via the charter to emergency funding if we need to for disaster.
Yes, sir.
We may, based upon the
yeah. I have to check with Heather on how the charter was read. I think the intent of that was, let's say, a major hurricane pushes on the Windermere, wipes everything out. We definitely have to go ahead and take bonds out. Pay for that without a referendum. But if it's something that's definitely a disaster, we can always dip in and pass over reserve.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, is in terms of if we say we projected, in the case of that one projected to receive $400,000 or $500,000, you don't know how to lay that in your reserves for every reason.
Right.
You're going to front those dollars into the
Yes, sir.
just like the reserve our overall reserves. And even litigation and this climate, it's probably good to have.
And what I didn't account for is any monies that may be still paid to Rotary League. I only received the invoices that I'm asking for yesterday. This is after the month of requests, and so I'm hoping that will be resolved by September 30th. If we are going to pay this funds, and again, we do have enough buffer in the budget to absorb that. Sounds good.
Can I ask, is there a limit on, like, I know for a while they talked about that there's a limit, like a gap in this.
We have to open up for public comment, for you to comment.
That's
Sorry.
I know.
Or you have to take this.
No, I'm good.
Let me know.
Take any questions from town council.
Council, any questions? Excellent presentation. I think I can speak for everyone about where we think we all want to be. It's conservative. It's going in. It's not enough that I have a feeling for our provisions. One, we want to reward and take care of our staff. They're our most important resource. From there, we take care of life and safety, police department, public works. It's a lot of pieces to this, but the people are number one, and everything else comes out with that. This is the sense of that. That's all I have. Sounds like any further comment.
Just want to thank you for our comprehensive plan and PDF that we can read and understand, and then I have more over. So thank you for all your hard work and thank you for all you do. This is easy to read.
Manny was part of the back and forth that it was me, Teresa, Tara. We're going through because we would get a certain quote for either general insurance, health insurance, or something other. And then we had to keep sending the amended ones back, so I keep putting the date of the Excel spreadsheet or the presentation, so everybody's working on the same page. It works sometimes, sometimes it didn't work.
The way you to the very end, that you can change it.
Our health renewal, if we could ever bump that, it would give us a 13-month policy or something, we can bump it one way or another. We've always bumped up against that it's always pretty budget time.
Yeah.
I think the only, obviously we've got a couple tactical challenges in terms of some of the things. But I think our biggest challenge is we have quite a bit of funding at the end that we're gonna have to convert into projects. Our funding will sunset, all these things. And I know it's nothing you and I haven't spoken about. I think we need to just keep a real good eye on that project management piece of that. And we start to feel like not where we want to be. I think that I'll certainly do my best to speak with council. I think we would all agree that we want to be proactive on that. So adding additional resources should that come about. You guys can handle an amazing amount. We have quite a few projects, and they're not easy. Some of those fundings do have some deadlines. It's possible to predict whether you're. I don't think it'll be any sanction for. It goes back to the state. We'll gladly have to do it. So make sure that just keep our eye on the ball. That's
and what we have to do is commit those funds and not spend those. So we have plans to make sure that those funds are committed, so we don't have to. So again, we did see the increase for West Second Avenue, which is stating that the increase for best public facing projects. But again, the 3.01 million that we received in the Central Water phase, that's not going to get you very far. So submitting more appropriation, I think bodies really help us out with that.
And kudos, this is not a criticism. I applaud and proud of what we've been able to accomplish in terms of bringing funds. We've almost doubled our budget by being strategic and some solid allocations and relationships. I think we'll be able to continue to do that as long as the state continues to have some influence. But I just put it out there because I'd rather I want to open the communications so we get to a place where we're a little concerned. We want to tweak something, we can do something like that.
I have one quick question. Have you all noticed the fiber cable stand in? Is that any cost to us at all? Would we okay? We the money revenues from that.
No, it's I didn't see AT&T fiber this down. It'd be completely up to them whether they're going to make that available to town residents to sub it out. Here in Texas.
I heard that we were going to finally get access to some of that. It'd be nice if they could sign through that. We tap in there.
Right. We have a couple of 5G companies in town, but again, with the site restrictions and the tree canopy that we have, it may be too difficult for them to actually put that much capital into it with the amount of customers that are actually going to benefit.
It seems to me, I'm not your husband probably knows a lot more. It seems to me that the 5G hasn't really done much for us, unless I'm not very familiar. Who knows? I would love to have 5G. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. There are some council actions that we need tonight. Again, with the motion for the first one. If you adopt that millage rate, the proposed millage rate, you can go higher than that, but you can go lower that than that in the budget hearings. And we do need a motion to consent for the balanced budget for the revenues and expenditures, then setting the date for the 2 tentative hearings, and also for the assessments as well. Typically in the past, we had to do our solutions, notify everybody if there was going to be a slight increase. But based on the ordinance changes that we've made,
that makes it a little easier for us. Appreciate it.
It's very easier for everybody.
It's really great. All right, council, this is where we get to do our part. Item number one, a motion to tentatively adopt a proposed millage rate of 3.7425 mils per thousand. Council, I'm looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion approved by Councilperson Abbott, second.
Second.
Councilperson David. Any further questions, concerns, council? Seeing none, we'll begin voting with Councilperson Williams.
Aye.
Aye.
The record reflect that motion passes unanimously. Number two, motion to consent to balance proposed budget revenues $16,762,457.20 and expenditures at $16,762,457.20. Council, motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Moved by Councilperson Williams and second, Councilperson Davis. Questions, comments, or concerns, council? Seeing none, begin voting with Councilperson Davenport. Aye.
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 Item number two, motion to consent to ballot for those budget passes unanimously. Item number three, motion to set the date, time, and place of our budget hearings. Those dates, time, and places are September 4th, 2024, 6 p.m. Tentative budget hearing, Town Hall, 520 Main Street, Windermere, Florida, 34786. And September 16th, 2024, 6 p.m. Final budget hearing, Town Hall, 520 Main Street, Windermere, Florida, 34786. Council, I'm looking for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved, Councilperson Davis. Second, Councilperson Deb. If you have any questions, council will begin voting with Councilperson Williams.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Item number three, motion to set the time date in place of our budget hearings passes unanimously. Thank you, council. Any additional new business? Doesn't look like we have it. So, oh, thank you. Wait, you have a second page. I really don't have.
Would be remiss if I didn't mention too that with the Marina Bay assessment, the MSDU that goes away next fiscal year. It's crazy. I think it's been 10 years for that project.
Yeah, wow.
And the same thing for the road assessment, which was for
Windermere Reserve.
Sunset Bay.
Sunset Bay.
That'll, again, sunset next fiscal year. That was just for paying us for that 10 years.
Just so everyone knows I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
It's easy to be.
That's all right. Item number four, a motion to approve the solid waste assessment of $399,880.80.
Wait,
Council, only for.
Wait.
To approve.
we have to approve the final budget hearing, September 16th, 2024.
They did.
Did you get a tentative?
Now we carry that.
They did both of them. Did they do both of them?
Yes, we did.
You did both of them.
You did both of them?
Yes, yes.
You need them separate?
Okay, no, that's okay.
Yeah, they did both of them.
This was on my page.
Okay. I combine them.
Oh, yeah, you see that. All right, council, let's do this again. Motion to approve the solid waste assessment of $399,808.80. Looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Approved by
Second.
Second. Mr. Williams. Please go with the Councilperson Deb. Aye.
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 Motion carried unanimously. Number five, motion to approve stormwater fund assessment of $348,009.72. Council, looking for a motion to approve.
Motion to
approve.
You got it. I'll
I
second.
was gonna say names first. Williams. Second. Dave. You get voting with Councilperson.
Aye.
Aye. Motion five carries unanimously. Motion to approve fire assessment, $925,880. For a motion.
Motion
You approve that first, and David, second. Councilperson Dad. Again, voting with Councilperson Dad. Aye.
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 Okay. Item number six, approved unanimously. Item number seven, Williams. Willow Street light assessment, $16,430. Motion approved. Motion approved, Councilperson Dad. Second. Now you play hard to get.
Is that second?
Councilperson Williams. You can go to the council person.
Aye.
I,
Aye. 70 Willow Street, that is, that's passed.
So,
Anything else?
Mayor, since we adopted everything tonight, we can go ahead and cancel the second budget workshop that was planned in August.
Did you have any objections to that? We need a motion for that, or?
I mean,
In August, typically we do that because if there's a significant increase in healthcare benefits, or something that we need to discuss further, which wasn't any comments or questions tonight, really of significance relative to amending the budget. There's not going to be any need for that second workshop.
The council or staff reports.
The only thing I have is that Sean Walking Station, meeting last night went really well. We didn't have any objections. It was slightly impacted probably because the power outage that we have. So we'll probably schedule 2 more meetings with them to make sure that they're fully informed, even notice before they can share it with the friends and neighbors. And we'll show you the 2 public sessions with the general public at large meeting station for Sunday Lot. And once we complete those, then we'll submit to town council for ordinance reading to establish the not only the developers group, but also for the referendum.
We have the, we have a chance to speak to anybody that lives over there. Everybody that we speak to, they're very supportive and they're very interested. The crowd is a little small. I think it's some of it that's been actually out of nature. Just getting people to meet inside. The first thing we have is pretty large, so I think everybody's feeling pretty good about it. So let's keep spreading the word and sharing what we have to offer with the increases in some of the costs associated with the fire service in the CU. Our numbers stay closer to their numbers. Pretty easy selling. Any additional items, council or staff? All right, seeing none, we will close. Budget meeting at 6:58 p.m. I appreciate everyone being here. Summertime.
Have a good evening, Councilwoman Haynes. Thanks for joining.
Yep, thank you.
Good evening.
Bye-bye.
Bye.